Oh, there's Ricky Lynn. Perfect. Hi, Ricky Lynn. Can you hear us? Hi. Can you hear us now? Perfect.
Sorry about that. I'm used to Zoom, so I'm adjusting to this. Thank you.
No problem. Good to see you. Hi, Crystal.
Can you hear me?
We can, yes, and you can hear us.
Oh yeah, very good. Yes. Hello all.
We still have a few more we're waiting for, so we'll get that going. And Jennifer, I see you here on the call. Are you here just to sort of watch the orientation, or let me allow your mic. Can you just let me know? Jennifer, I don't know if you can hear us.
Can you hear me? Can you
Yes,
hear me
I can.
Okay.
Yep, Jennifer, we can hear you now. Are you, Jennifer, are you just interested in watching?
Yeah, I saw the link on the OPI website and I didn't know if the committee was open to the public or, so I'm just here to observe. If I'm not supposed to be here, kick me out.
No, absolutely. You can watch. I'm just going to go ahead and mute your microphone, but I just wanted to make sure that that you were in the right place, and you sure are to listen in today.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. I think we still have about 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 more participants to come on in. So maybe we'll give them another minute or a couple of minutes here to get logged in. Ricky Lynn, as you pointed out, Teams sometimes is a new format for some folks, so we're used to the Zoom world often, so we'll just give them another couple of minutes here and then we can get started. It is being recorded, so I'll make sure to send that out to participants after. I don't see any emails from anyone needing a technical assistance. Patrick, do you have any emails from anyone that may be needing assistance?
I'll double check here real quick. I haven't seen any messages come through, but let me take a quick look.
Yeah, keep an eye here too. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get us started then, since we're just a few minutes past the hour. As people will join in again, since we are recording this, they'll be able to catch up with what they missed when they join us. And I just wanted to say welcome committee members to the orientation for Negotiated Rulemaking Committee for Special Education Chapter 55 rule updates. Today's orientation is going to be to walk you through the process, what negotiated rulemaking means, and what your job and your purpose will be. And so that's what you will end today with, having a little bit more knowledge about what negotiated rulemaking actually is and what your role is in that process. A couple of reminders for today that this meeting is being recorded. And you can unmute and reach in or raise your hand. Let us know you have a question. Please feel free to ask questions along the way. If you wouldn't mind putting your full name in the chat for attendance purposes, that would be great. We'll do that for each of our sessions as well. So if you just click the chat button at the top and just type your full name in there, that would be great for us. And if possible, we do encourage you to keep your cameras on. It really helps to have that engagement piece with us and the other committee members. Oh, and I've got someone coming in right now. There we go. Welcome, Mary. Can you hear us okay?
I can. Can you hear me?
We sure can. Welcome. Thanks for joining. And we're just getting started. So in the next slide, I want to share with you are the committee members. So I just want to take a moment here. You've all put your name in the chat. And you've got the names are here on the screen of our appointed members. The Negotiated Rulemaking Committee does need to be made up of certain membership. There are certain roles that need to be met in the Negotiated Rulemaking Committee to have a representation from across the state for various stakeholders who are impacted by these rules that we are going to be discussing any changes to. And as you can see, the middle column there outlines the roles that are needed on our Negotiated Rulemaking Committee. If you can see the list there, and if you just would take a minute to unmute and introduce yourself and just say your role, that would be great. I know we've done it in the chat for attendance purposes, but it'll be a good moment for us to unmute and share with each other a little bit about ourselves, just a quick introduction to who you are and the role that you're serving here on the Negotiated Rulemaking Committee. I don't see Kristen, I don't think, or Christy. And has Paul joined? I think the first few, but Ricky Lynn, I think you're the first one here on the list. So go ahead and if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, tell us where you're from and the role on the committee.
Hi there. My name is Ricky Lynn Hughes. The role says Montana Tribe Representative. I currently am at Fort Peck Head Start. Sorry, I'm still at work. And I am the Education and Disabilities Coordinator as well. So, and I look forward to helping and doing what I can to collaborate with all of you guys. And oh yes, and of course, it says Brockton, but in the middle, so Brockton Poplar. So, but yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you. Next, Crystal.
Hello, I am Crystal Zentner. I'm from Bridger. I am only a school district trustee for about another week and a half. So I am almost done after 19 years. I hope to provide, any insights to that, but just be helpful. So thank you.
Happy to have you, Crystal. Thanks for being here. Next, Kathy.
Hi, I'm Kathy Gilboy, and I am an assistant professor at Carroll College. I teach all the special education courses at Carroll. I am a retired teacher. I taught special education in East Helena for 25 years at the middle school.
Wonderful, thank you. Mary, you're up next.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary DiBiase. I live in Conrad, Montana. I was a special education teacher for about 10 years and then have done quite a bit of transition work across the state. And now I actually work for the University of Massachusetts and work with vocational rehabilitation agencies across the country. So I'm pleased to be part of this group. So thank you.
Thanks, Mary. And then Patrick.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here today. My name is Patrick Cates. I'm the Senior Manager for Safety and Student Supports here at the OPI, which really means there's three divisions that I oversee and support, special education being one of those three. And today, I guess why I'm here, well, you're all here partly because of me today. The special education technician has been a big initiative that we've been working on here at the agency that I've been helping spearhead there.
Thanks, Patrick. Julie Merkel is next. Dr. Merkel.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Julie Merkel. I'm the Chief Program Officer here at the Montana Office of Public Instruction, and one of the programs that I oversee is under Patrick, which is special education. So a program near and dear to our heart here at the agency.
Thank you. And the last committee member, McCall, I know you said you might have trouble unmuting, but if you could unmute and introduce yourself, that would be great.
Yeah, thanks, Christy. Hi, everyone. I'm McCall Flynn. I'm the Executive Director at the Board of Public Education. Sorry, I don't have my camera on. I'm actually in the car headed to Hardin today, but excited to join you all and sort of just listen to the orientation. I'm excited to also join this group. These rules will ultimately come to the Board of Public Ed for approval. So just really excited to sort of see all the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thanks, McCall. And so that is our committee. Those are all of you are the working members of the committee. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about what that exactly means as we go forward. And we just have a couple of us on the call from the OPI, sort of providing some background support as well. I'm Christy Mock-Stutz. I'm the Assistant Chief Program Officer here at the OPI. We also have Aislinn Brown, who's our Chief Legal.
Hi.
And then Tyler Capice, Tyler, your title is Assistant Deputy Superintendent. Wonderful. Yep. Glad I got it. So that is who we have on the call today. So moving on to the purpose of today's session, we'll be providing you with an introduction to each other, which we've just done, and then to the work ahead. And so that you'll get a really grounding today in what the work will be in next week and in the following session, what you'll be asked to do and the type of work that you'll be doing for us and helping along this process. You'll understand the purpose of negotiated rulemaking. We'll identify and share the roles and responsibilities of this committee. We'll provide some background information and give you some next steps for what to expect next. So where we start, why we're here. For negotiated rulemaking, we have administrative rules of Montana, and these are agencies like the Office of Public Instruction and the Board of Public Education administer programs, and they have administrative rules that are legally binding rules for how to run programs. And so when we need to make changes to certain rules, it is required that we pull together a negotiated rulemaking committee to review the rules, to review the changes, to understand the implications of these changes. And then for the OPI in this particular set of rules, the superintendent is going to recommend these changes to the Board of Public Education. So your one piece of this process is where the superintendent is pulling all of us together to look at the rules that need to be changed, to talk about these proposed changes, what they need to look like, so that she has a recommendation, Superintendent Hedelin has a recommendation to move on to the Board of Public Education, as Executive Director Flynn mentioned in her introduction. So these proposed rules you'll be developing here in this committee, that's the heart of your work. You'll reach consensus to get to the recommendation that you'll be putting forward to the superintendent. And then the BPE will decide these rules and move them through their process, and we'll get a little bit more into that. So here's sort of a step-by-step. The OPI forms a negotiated rulemaking committee. Here you are. This committee works to form consensus on these recommended rules. We will then advise on an economic impact statement. So part of your work will be looking at this and identifying if there's an economic impact for these rules. And then the superintendent will will take your recommendations to the Board of Public Education. For a little more specificity on the committee's responsibilities, you can look here in the middle column for what these responsibilities are. You'll be considering proposed rule changes. You'll be consulting and advising on an economic impact survey, potentially some questions around a survey, or putting together an economic impact statement. And then you'll provide these recommendations to the state superintendent. So your committee responsibilities are here sort of in this middle category that you can see here on the screen, but you can see that it's part of a larger structure where the OPI establishes a committee. There was a determined need for negotiated rulemaking. OPI established the committee, bring the committee together, and then these rules, your recommendations, will go to the superintendent. She will look at those, review them, look at the economic impact statement, and present that with the Board of Public Education. So you can see that this is one step in a multi-step process. After the superintendent recommends this to the Board of Public Education, the Board of Public Education will take it through their administrative rules process. It will also have some public comment. It will have that opportunity. And then they will also present the economic impact to the Education Interim Committee, the economic impact report based on these rules. And then they will have their public hearing. And then they will, depending on the outcomes of that, bring this into the Secretary of State for rule adoption. So as you can see, this is one step of many step process in adopting rules here in the state of Montana. And for a larger, colorful view of this process, you can see here the administrative agency. In this case, we're the OPI. We're getting this kicking this off here. We will be then recommending this. The superintendent will be recommending this to the Board of Public Education, who will then run through their process with the Secretary of State, the Montana Administrative Register, have that public hearing, go into public input, back to the administrative agency for input, and final decision-making and inputting those rules into the actual Secretary of State Administrative Register. And so as you can see, there are many layers of processes that go through for administrative rules, but it's important for your role here is to actually, you will be coming up with the draft rules that will be going to the superintendent for her recommendation to the Board of Public Education on a couple of the changes that we have for these special education rules. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Are there any questions about this process before we move on to some rules? Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the rules then. So as you can see, these are the rules. Various roles that are playing into supporting and moving through this negotiated rulemaking process. So we have the Office of Public Instruction. We convened this rulemaking committee, and again, we received applications for this, and we've served and now are having our orientation for this committee. There's a negotiated rulemaking facilitator, and this is someone who's impartial, who will not be working on consensus with the committee, but will be the person who is charged with keeping the committee moving along and making sure that the committee is staying on that task of drafting the rules, recommending those rule changes, and keeping that process going. Your first action as a committee next week at our first negotiated rulemaking committee meeting will be to come to consensus and confirm the proposed facilitator. And the facilitator that we're proposing here is Aislinn Brown, our Chief Legal Counsel, and she's going to pop in for just a minute, give you a little background. She has been a facilitator for negotiated rulemaking in the past, and so has some experience in this role. So Aislinn, if you wanted to introduce yourself a little bit more.
Thanks, Christy. Hi, everyone. My name is Aislinn. I am an attorney. I've been an attorney with the state of Montana for about 10 years. And previous to being at OPI, I was at Agency Legal Services Bureau, where I facilitated the negotiated rulemaking for Chapter 55 back in this I think it was the spring of 2021. I'm trying to remember, we were still wearing masks. So that was pretty lengthy. I think a lot longer than this one will be. We had multiple full day sessions. I do have experience with it, and it's a fun process. I'm looking forward to hopefully working with you all if you vote for me to be the facilitator.
Thanks, Aislinn. So those are the first two roles. And as you see the OPI, we have some people will be working in the background, helping with the webinar links and documentation and that kind of thing as well. You are the negotiated rulemaking committee, so this is your role. And as you can see, we tried really hard to meet the cultural diversity, geographic location, school and community members with experience in this content area. And I think through your introductions, you noticed that a lot of you really bring a lot of background and information to this negotiated rulemaking committee. We tried to get a variety of district and school sizes represented and grade levels served. So we'll be working together in this committee, and that is your role. And then we have the Superintendent of Public Instruction, Superintendent Hedelin, will review the work of your committee and then move that recommendation and the economic impact onto the BPE. The Board of Public Education will ultimately submit those proposals and work it through their process as well. The Education Interim Committee, we heard about that. The economic impact statement does go to them for review, so that if there's an economic impact, the legislators would like to know that, and that's part of that role for the Education Interim Committee. And then local school board districts and trustees. We have, one representative on our committee is from a board of trustees, but this is where, decisions are made for schools. And so having that perspective is really important because you're responsible for the policy creations in your school districts. And so you can see that tie in here. Any questions about roles and who's participating in this process? All right, so what will we be doing and how do we do this work together here as the negotiated rulemaking committee? Well, what you'll be doing is you'll be considering the impact of any changes of these proposed rules, and you'll be reaching consensus together concerning these proposed rules and any other matter the committee determines is relevant to these proposed rules and changes. So you will have a lot of conversation. You'll be talking to each other. You'll be saying, oh, this word means this to me. That word means that to me. Is this representing what we need to establish here in these rules? Is that what our focus is? And that will be, so there will be a lot of talking and considering and coming to consensus. And what does consensus mean? And so for this work, we actually work in a consensus-based model for the decision making. So that means as a committee, you won't be drafting a phrase and then voting on it and then drafting a phrase and then voting on it. What this actually means is that you're going to come to a unanimous agreement among all of the interests here in the committee that wording, that what you've proposed there works for the committee. This works. And what happens is if there's something that you don't agree with, you think, that doesn't really work for, particularly the group that I'm representing, or, in my experience, I think it maybe needs to say this. You would then come back from that. You'd say, hey, you know what? I actually think we need to say this instead, and you might propose a different change. And then everyone else on the committee considers that change. So it's a formalized, and this is where the facilitator will come in quite a bit as far as facilitating these suggestions and moving this conversation forward. So here's a proposed language. You all might look at this proposed language, then you would discuss it, and then someone would say, oh, I have a proposal for a change. I would like to see this. Okay, committee, now, how does that look to everyone? Do we have consensus on the way this reads? So the facilitator is going to be very active in those conversations and making sure that everyone has their voice, they get to that consensus. Once consensus is reached on a certain section or one of the rules, we'll move on to the next. And there really are only a couple that we're really facilitating this time. So again, we've got the 2 sessions scheduled. We don't anticipate it taking long because it's not a lot of information that we're proposing, but there will be some discussion and the facilitator will have some of that. Inevitably some changes, and here's the proposal, here's the change. Committee, what do you think? So that's the actual sort of the heart of the work that you'll be doing in this. I've mentioned the economic impact statement, and this is per the statute that we do need to create an economic impact statement for these rules. Will there be an economic impact on the people who are responsible for school districts? Could there be an economic impact for teachers? Who could there be? So we will have some discussions around that and around the rules. Once you've come up with your recommended rules, we'll take a look and see what you think, if there's any impact that may be or may not be from this rule change. And we'll have that discussion. Any questions on consensus or economic impact statements? Great. We are cruising along. So this is the work of the committee that we are coming to. The first piece of work that we will be working in our Chapter 10, Subchapter 55, to be identifying the role definitions and supervision protocols for the new Class 9 Special Education Technician certification. The board recently approved this Class 9 Special Education Technician, and so along with that, we need to provide in administrative rules what the role of that special education technician is, what the role of the supervising teacher is around that special education technician. So that's going to be the heart of the work that you all will be providing input on what that looks like. So how does that look in the classroom? You'll be thinking of that. So a lot of your expertise will be coming into play on what those roles will look like. What does that mean for this? So that's the heart of the work that we'll be doing together, is really identifying these requirements and what the supervising teacher is expected as well. Another update that we will be doing here in Chapter 10, Subchapter 55, Section 805, is we will need to remove a section of that based on a United States District Court decision from last fall. We just have to make it align to that decision, and we have a part of our rules that says about eligible student eligible to receive special education services successfully completing goals for graduation. We need to take that, we need to have that removed from the rules based on that decision. So that's another piece of the work that you'll be doing as well as part of this committee. So those are the two pieces of work that you'll be working on. The one that I imagine will take the most, will be working on those role definition and supervision protocols for that new Class 9 Special Education Technician license. So that is the work that will be, my guess is, discussing the most when we start this process. So are there, Patrick or Julie, did I miss anything in this that you would like to add here?
I don't think so, Christy. I would just say that when you send around the slides after the session, if folks are not familiar with that U.S. District Court order, that they can click that link and do a little bit of background information if that's helpful. Because I know sometimes just being able to read that and have a little bit more background as to why this is happening or crossing out, I think would be helpful.
Thank you. And I see, Christy, you just joined us. We're starting to wrap up here, Christy, but this has been recorded, so I'll make sure that you get the recording. And I'll make sure that you can speak, but welcome.
Thank you. I so much apologize. I was having these technical difficulties. I don't know what happened there. It's like, been trying to get on for like 25 minutes.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
It's not your.
And Christy, if you wanted to just introduce yourself to the group, we did that earlier, but we'd be glad to hear where you're from and what role you're representing here on the committee.
Sure. So Christy Matul, I'm an LCPC and an LAC. I work for O'Iron in private practice. So I'm representing, I'm a parent of a child with special education needs, and I also advocate for other children with special education needs.
Perfect. Thank you. And where are you located? I don't know if you said
I'm
that.
in Butte.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
/Anaconda. Sorry, I worked both.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. And we had just wrapped up talking about what the work of the committee is. I'll follow up again, and you'll get this recording so you can catch up with that as well. And thank you, Dr. Merkel, for the reminder that there will be the live links will be in that slideshow when I send that out to you all. And Patrick, could you think of anything else to add?
I don't think anything to add there, no. I think you got it covered.
Sounds good. All right. So for next steps, here's what will happen. Some of the documentation for the rule, existing rule, potential changes, you will get a Google Drive folder that will have some of that documentation in. So since we're in a virtual format, we will be sort of working in these virtual document environments. So anticipate that you'll get a link to a Google folder for that work. As well, the same thing, I will be sending out a webinar link for each session that you will get. If you get a separate email, I just wanted to point this out, you can join in on a regular registration link that's posted on our website there. Or if the participants, I will send you a special sort of unique link. And if you click on the unique link that comes directly from me, that will bring you right into the meeting without kind of, it bypasses the lobby, so to speak. But you can enter the meeting either way. So just FYI for that, just to keep an eye out from an email from me with those specific, it's a unique link to your email, so you can just jump right into the meeting for next week. And then we have 2 sessions scheduled for now. We've got one session May 19th, that's next week at 3:30, and another session on June 2nd, also at 3:30, scheduled for an hour and a half each time. If we need more time, we will work with you on your schedules for following up on that. We anticipate hopefully wrapping it up in the time, but again, if we need more, we will work with you. And as we are moving forward, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Patrick Cates with any questions or concerns, technical assistance. Don't worry, we try to monitor our email, so if you are having trouble, we definitely are here to support you and get you into the meeting and get the work going. But we're glad to make it work. Part of this orientation is also a little of a trial run of the format, online format, to make sure that all works for us. So any questions from anyone on the committee? Okay. Anything else to add from any of our OPI folks that I can think of?
Christy, when you had asked a minute ago, this is Patrick, sorry. When you had asked a minute ago if there was anything to add, yeah, I wasn't sure if you wanted me visiting there about that brief background there.
Yes, please. Let me pop back over to here. And if you wanted to do a little bit of a background, Patrick, yeah, that would be exactly right. Give a little bit of a background.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes, the special education, the Class 9 special education technician license was put into effect, as Christy mentioned. We're looking at the duties for this. This is not to replace a special education teacher, but this is part of the, if you've heard of our Para Pathways project, part of the leveling along the way for the Para Pathways project, really focused on sort of homegrown teachers and special education service personnel. The special education technicians will be able to help, the idea is to be able to help lighten the load for the special education teachers, not taking over the role of the special education teacher and all of the duties like evaluations and case management that need to be reserved for the teacher. But this committee looking at what are those other things that these special education technicians can take over in the special education world to take some relief off of the teacher there. As we know, they're few and far between, and let them focus on those larger duties, as well as, not part of the law, but trying to create a recruitment and retention pipeline for districts as a community-based solution targeting the paraprofessionals within their school districts. It's wonderful to hear, Ricky. That's great.
Great. Thanks, Patrick, for giving that background for how we got here and why the board recently approved this new special education technician license. Any questions for Patrick on that background information? Well, that was the end of my presentation on negotiated rulemaking. So I hope you all feel that you learned a little bit more about our administrative processes here in Montana and how these administrative rules get through a process to be put into the Administrative Register of Montana so that they are there for us. But I hope that you feel the importance of this work that you're doing for all of our students and teachers and paraprofessionals here in Montana. So I'll hang on for a few minutes if anyone has anything they'd like to add afterwards. Otherwise, we will plan to see you all next week and expect some follow-up emails from Patrick and myself.
And Christy, I just added
Thank you,
the
Christy.
1050, the license that we were talking about got thrown into the chat if anybody wants it there.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Patrick. I was actually just going to recommend it because it is effective now, so it should be online. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
We'll look forward to seeing you all next week.